Most people pray for their dream life every single day. They beg God, they plead, they fast, they cry out. But here is what nobody tells you. God does not give you your dream life when you want it. He gives it when you are ready for it. And most people, they are not ready. They think they are, but they are not even close. God is not withholding your blessing. He is preparing you for it. See, there is a difference between desiring something and being equipped to carry it. And right now, God is watching you. He is observing how you handle the small things, the boring seasons, the painful waiting. Signs God knows ready. And there are specific signs, markers in your life that tell him you are finally ready. Signs that most people completely miss. Today, I am going to reveal 10 of them. And if you recognize even 3 or 4 in your own life right now, pay very close attention. Because your breakthrough might be closer than you think. Peace in the storm. The first sign God knows you are ready is this. You have stopped panicking when things go wrong. Think about that for a moment. There was a time in your life when one unexpected bill, one bad phone call, one rejection letter would send you spiraling. You would lose sleep. You would complain to everyone who would listen. You would question whether God even cared. But something has shifted. Now, when the storm hits, you do not crumble the way you used to. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. That peace Jesus talked about is not the absence of problems. It is a supernatural calm in the middle of chaos. And when you start walking in that peace, God takes notice. Because he knows that person who can stay steady in a storm can be trusted with a kingdom. Your ability to stay calm reveals your readiness for elevation. If chaos no longer controls you, if you can breathe when everything around you is falling apart, that is not just maturity. That is a sign that God has been building something inside you, something strong enough to carry what is coming next. And what comes next is even more revealing. Grateful now. Here is the second sign, and this one separates the ready from the restless. You have learned to be genuinely grateful for what you already have, not fake grateful. Not the kind where you say thank God while secretly resenting your current situation. Real, deep, bone-level gratitude. Most people cannot be trusted with more, because they despise what they already have. Think about it. If you gave your child a gift and they threw it on the ground and demanded something better, would you rush to give them more? Of course not. God operates the same way. When you can look at your small apartment, your modest car, your simple life and say with honest sincerity, "Thank you, Lord," something powerful happens in the spiritual realm. If this truth is opening your eyes right now, hit like and subscribe for more biblical wisdom that transforms. Because what comes next might redefine how you see your entire waiting season. As the Apostle Paul wrote from a literal prison cell, "I have learned in whatever state I am to be content." Contentment is not settling. It is trusting that God's timing is perfect while fully embracing where you are right now. And that trust, it unlocks doors you cannot even imagine. But there is a third sign that might surprise you. Forgiving the past. The third sign is one of the hardest. You have finally released the people who hurt you, not because they deserved it, not because what they did was okay, but because you understand that unforgiveness is a chain and God will not promote you while you are still shackled to your past. Freedom. Let me be very direct with you. Some of you are carrying bitterness from 5, 10, 20 years ago. That ex who betrayed you, that parent who abandoned you, that friend who stabbed you in the back. And every time you replay that pain, you are telling God that their offense matters more than your future. Forgive, release, rise. Jesus did not suggest forgiveness. He commanded it. And he was not being cruel. He was being strategic. Because he knew that the weight of resentment would crush the very dreams he wanted to give you. Unforgiveness is the anchor that keeps your ship from sailing. When you can think about the person who hurt you most and feel nothing but peace, when the memory no longer triggers rage or tears, that is God confirming you have passed a critical test. You have proven you can be trusted with blessing without using it for revenge. And that leads directly to the next sign, one that will challenge everything you think you know about success. Embracing the wait. Sign number 4. You have stopped trying to force God's timeline. This is enormous, because most people treat God like a vending machine. They put in their prayer, press the button, and expect instant delivery. And when it does not come fast enough, they try to manufacture their own version of the blessing. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. But notice what that verse does not include, a deadline. God has plans for you. He has confirmed it. But he never promised it would happen on your schedule. And here is the painful truth most people refuse to accept. Every time you try to rush God, you delay your own breakthrough. Think about Abraham. God promised him a son, but Abraham got impatient and had Ishmael through Hagar. That decision created conflict that still echoes thousands of years later. When you can wait without manipulating, when you can trust without seeing, when you can rest without controlling, God knows you are ready. Wait, trust, rest, receive. Patience is not passive. It is the most aggressive act of faith you can demonstrate. It tells God, I trust you more than I trust my own ability to make things happen. But there is another sign happening in your life right now that you might be completely overlooking. Dying to ego. The fifth sign is uncomfortable. You have started to lose your need for recognition. Let me explain why this matters so much. In the early stages of ambition, everything is about being seen. You want the title, you want the applause, you want people to notice how hard you are working. But God cannot elevate someone whose identity depends on human validation. Humility. Because the higher He takes you, the more criticism, misunderstanding, and loneliness you will face. And if your foundation is other people's opinions, you will collapse at the first sign of opposition. God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. James wrote those words for a reason. Pride is not just a personality flaw, it is a structural weakness. And God refuses to build your dream life on a cracked foundation. When you can do incredible work and not need anyone to see it, when you can serve behind the scenes without resentment, when you can celebrate someone else's success without jealousy, you have passed a test that 90% of people fail. Moses spent 40 years in the desert before God used him. David tended sheep in obscurity before he wore a crown. The pattern is clear. Obscurity before glory. Hiddenness always precedes promotion in God's kingdom. And speaking of what is hidden, the next sign reveals something happening inside you that others cannot see. New desires. Sign number 6 might be the most shocking of all. Your desires have fundamentally changed. Think back to what you wanted 5 years ago. The things you were chasing, the lifestyle you craved, the people you wanted to impress. Now compare that to what burns inside you today. If those desires have shifted, if what once excited you now feels hollow, if you find yourself drawn to purpose over pleasure, that is not random. When God changes what you want, He is preparing to give you what you need. This is the principle of Psalm 37 verse 4. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Most people read that wrong. They think it means God will give you whatever you desire. But the real meaning is far more powerful. When you delight in God, He literally changes your desires. He rewires what your heart craves. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. David understood this. After his greatest failure, he did not ask God for more power or wealth. He asked for a new heart. And when your heart changes, your life has no choice but to follow. Transformed desires are the clearest sign of divine preparation. If you used to chase money, and now you chase meaning, if you used to crave attention, and now you crave intimacy with God, do not ignore that shift. It is evidence that something supernatural is happening. But what comes next will test whether these new desires are real. Pruning season. The seventh sign often disguises itself as loss. God has been removing people, habits, and comforts from your life, and it hurts. You lost friends you thought would be there forever. Doors you were counting on suddenly slammed shut. Opportunities you worked hard for evaporated overnight. What feels like destruction is often divine construction. And in those moments, it is natural to wonder if God has abandoned you. But Jesus explained this process clearly. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit He takes away, and every branch that bears fruit He prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Notice the terrifying beauty of that verse. God does not only prune dead branches, He prunes the fruitful ones too. He cuts away good things to make room for great things. Pruning pain, purpose. That relationship that ended was not punishment, it was preparation. That job you lost was not rejection, it was redirection. If your life feels smaller right now, if your circle has shrunk, if you feel stripped down to almost nothing, do not despair. A tree that has been pruned looks bare and broken, but in the next season, it bears fruit that shocks everyone. God is making you lighter so you can go higher. But there is one more painful sign most people refuse to accept. Tested by fire. Sign number 8. You are currently going through intense pressure and testing, not the kind of mild inconvenience that everyone faces. I am talking about the kind of pressure that makes you question everything. The kind that brings you to your knees at 3 in the morning wondering if you can even keep going. Refined. And here is what makes this a sign of readiness rather than punishment. You are still standing. You have not quit. You have not abandoned your faith. You are bruised, exhausted, maybe barely holding on, but you are still here. Gold does not become pure by sitting in comfortable conditions. It becomes pure by being thrown into fire so intense that every impurity rises to the surface and burns away. When he has tested me, I shall come forth as gold. Job said those words while sitting in the worst season of his life. He had lost everything: his children, his wealth, his health, his reputation. And yet he declared with absolute certainty that gold was coming. The intensity of your testing reveals the magnitude of your destiny. Small tests produce small promotions. But when the fire gets unbearable, when the pressure threatens to crush you, it means God is preparing something so massive that only refined gold can carry it. Fire, gold, destiny. But the next sign might be the most overlooked of all. Giving first. The ninth sign is counterintuitive. You have started giving away what you wish someone would give you, not out of obligation or religious guilt, but from a genuine overflow of the heart. You give time when you are busy. You give money when you are broke. You give encouragement when you are the one who needs encouragement. The generous soul will be made rich, and he who waters will also be watered himself. Proverbs tells us that generosity is not a loss. It is a seed, and God watches very carefully what you do with very little before he trusts you with abundance. Think about the widow in Luke chapter 21. She put 2 small coins into the temple treasury. Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all the others. Jesus did not measure her gift by its size. He measured it by its sacrifice. And that is exactly how God measures your readiness. Give first, receive later. Can you be generous when it costs you something? Can you bless others when your own account is running low? Can you celebrate someone's promotion when you are still waiting for yours? If you can, you have proven something powerful to God. You have shown him that abundance will not corrupt you, because a person who can give sacrificially with little will give generously with much. And that brings us to the final and perhaps most important sign of all: surrender complete. The 10th and final sign. You have reached a place of total surrender. And I do not mean the kind where you reluctantly say, "Okay, God, you will be done," while secretly hoping he does what you want anyway. I mean the kind of surrender where you genuinely hand over the blueprint, where you tell God, "I trust your plan more than mine, even if your plan looks nothing like what I imagined." True surrender is not giving up on your dreams. It is trusting the one who gave you those dreams. This is the hardest place to reach, because surrender requires you to release control. And control is the last thing the human ego wants to give up. But the paradox of the kingdom is that you gain everything when you finally let go of everything. Jesus demonstrated this in the Garden of Gethsemane. He sweat drops of blood. He asked the Father to take the cup away. But then he said 3 words that changed human history. "Not my will, but yours, be done." That is the prayer of readiness. That is the moment God has been waiting for. When you can release your timeline, your method, your expectations, and simply say, "I am yours, use me." God does not just give you your dream life. Surrender, receive everything. He gives you something far greater than anything you could have designed for yourself. So let me ask you something. How many of these signs did you recognize in your own life? Maybe you saw 2 or 3. Maybe you saw all 10. And maybe right now you are sitting there realizing that the season you thought was punishment has actually been preparation all along. God has been building your dream life in the very places you thought he abandoned you. Every storm that taught you peace, every betrayal that taught you forgiveness, every loss that taught you surrender, every fire that burned away your impurities, none of it was wasted. Not one tear, not one sleepless night, not one moment of doubt. God was using all of it to shape you into someone who could carry the weight of the blessing he has been preparing. Ready, prepared, chosen, blessed. Do not give up now. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are being made ready. And when God moves, it will happen so fast, so powerfully, so completely, that everyone who watched you struggle will stand in awe of what he has done. If you made it this far, comment "Dream ready" if you believe God is preparing you right now for something greater than you ever imagined. Stay in the Word, stay in the Spirit, and watch what God does. If this blessed you, subscribe for more. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. See you in the next one.